accidentally killed my camel in Minecraft, and I'm very upset about it.
Wait, you can permadeath a camel in Minecraft?
They now have introduced camels to Minecraft, and they only spawn like in one type of biome, and only one of them spawn. So they're an incredibly rare animal that I was trying to make the pilgrimage back to my base. I don't know who I'm alienating right now talking about video games, but long story short, I
Not
everyone but Luke.
Okay, got it.
And me. And yeah.
Perfect. Great. I had a feeling you would get it.
Here's the map of Elden Ring. Here's the map of Pokemon on my wall. So.
Oh, very good. Yeah, Elden Ring is so not my speed, but I respect it.
I still have the Emmy from the Toy Story. But...
Oh, anyway. I love that. Yeah, no, I'm a full-on video game nerd. I met the love of my life playing video games with him across the country. So
nice.
Yeah.
My
Do you guys know the camel at the base camp joke?
No.
Guy joins up and he's getting the tour of the base camp, and they're showing him like, here's the mess hall, here's where we keep the ammo. I'm like, right, it's just us guys here. We know you're gonna get lonely, so come with me. They take him into a little tent to the side, and there's a camel in there. He's like,
there is.
No, I ain't.
Right.
But he's there for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Eventually, he's drunk one night. He's feeling it. He goes in there, sees the camel, pulls down his pants, starts getting. His commanding officer walks in like, "What the fuck are you doing? We ride the camel into town and get a prostitute."
Thank God he's the bad guy. I love that. That brings a whole new level to my Minecraft experience now. So
I signed in and heard you talking about camels, and I was
that was perfect.
Right.
You have entered the exact way I would into a chat, especially with people I don't know, and Mike can attest to that.
Heck yeah, I watched Jess's stream last night, 2 hours, most bangable monsters, and it was good. So a lot of them were video games, some of them were movies, some of them were things I never even heard of. My contribution to the conversation was Ginormica from Monsters versus Aliens, and I was a little I was happy to see that she went right to S tier,
she went right to mommy tier.
Right to mommy tier. But I was a little sad at how little debate there was over anything. It was just like, oh yeah, she's hot, S tier next.
Well,
and
the thing is, had I watched it,
yeah,
Monsters vs. Aliens, I might have been able to go, no, Reese Witherspoon's not bangable, but Ginormica is. Like,
Ginormica is bangable as fuck.
See, here's the thing: Reese Witherspoon's an attractive young woman.
She's all right,
older woman now, but she's not like woo. She's not
Ginormica.
There we go.
It was not. She was not a proxy for Reese Witherspoon.
I'm sorry we didn't let you finish. Sorry.
That's where Batman and Robin fell down, right? Where they tried to present Reese Witherspoon as like mega bangable Batgirl.
Was she in that?
No, that's Alicia
Silverstone.
Well, then I'm going to have to debate you on that, because Alicia Silverstone is a good Batgirl. I think that movie suffered from more than just whether our heroine is hot or not.
There's far bigger problem.
So Alicia Silverstone, baby,
was more interested in whether the heroes were hot.
Fair.
Yeah. So Alicia Silverstone, baby birding food into her kid's mouth. Does that make her less bangable or more?
There is a theory that that's actually why we kiss, because there's no biological reason for us to do it, except for there was a chance where we probably regurgitated food to our children or made it more simple for them to chew on an anthropological level, thus bridging the gap from intimacy to I'm not saying I want to do this, but like it kind of made
I'm gonna do it right. I'm doing it tonight.
Add this to your not your spank bank, the opposite. No, a lot of people like baby talk because it reminds them of the first time they were feeling unconditional love, which is why we then talk to our boyfriend and girlfriend like, hey baby, like, or like we talk to them
and
like,
why
baby.
The highest level and most bangable monster is mommy level.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm not the person to invent it. I don't have a degree in it. It's disturbing. Maybe that child really needed that.
Well, I'm eating my banana right now, so anyone want some?
Bring it here. Bring it in.
You know what? My boyfriend and I did kiss with whipped cream in our mouths recently, and it was really cute. Not that I see, like I told you, no one needs to know that, but
that's kindergarten level stuff.
Yeah, whipped cream is basic.
No, we made 2 agreements early on in the relationship: no food and no feet. So we just had to have like ground rules.
Well,
anyway, okay.
You picked the wrong movie because there's a lot of feet in this movie.
Yeah, this is a foot movie.
Oh shit!
Not Tarantino one.
Think about that.
I was
Is
trying
that
to
our
think
segue?
of like a joke I could make where I use foot the measurement, but there wasn't one that felt appropriate.
Well, you read the room right. You should have said it because I would have taken it just fine. I can't take more than a foot, but I would have accepted.
I guess we should get into those feet. Luke, I just counted for you 93 because I messed up the count on the last two, and I actually edited, so the number from one episode was edited into the other episode and vice versa, which was kind of fun.
Okay.
This is definitely 93 though. I feel confident about that.
What is 93?
Episode 93.
Oh,
Gotcha.
no. This is the 93 worst film as voted by IMDb.
I'm sorry. That's what we're doing here, is talking about the worst film. I threw myself at this because it's such a good movie.
Hey, there are. You can read the 10-star review then at the end.
We will be. Yeah. This is going to be interesting. So I think I have a feeling several people here may actually like this movie. So let's see what happens.
In at number 93.
Jen is so low-key shook right now.
I don't know. I feel like I just got like led into a trap.
This is the thing. We knew you guys were coming, but like there have been at least 3 times where we just had a guest show up that Matt didn't tell us about. So Matt loves surprising people, and
That's
I'm
not
here for
very
it.
helpful for a okay, good. As long as you're okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Up. Okay. All right. Tell me.
I didn't know you guys were coming today.
Hi.
Oh yeah, because I don't see Luke in person so much anymore, so I don't just like ramble to you what's going on in podcast land anymore.
No.
Oh well, there you go.
In at number 93, it's the film about the average Stone Age family.
But not an average film about the Stone Age family.
I just want to say that if you have a problem with gambling, the National Helpline 1-800-GAMBLER will connect you to the National Council on Problem Gambling. Get help.
That's how a lot of TV shows start these days. They're like, here, this episode's going to disturb you, so here's a mental health link before we start. So.
The
Okay,
depiction
but
of gambling in this film.
Where's the misogyny link, though? Like, if you have a problem, like taking, not valuing women for their actual worth.
I mean,
1-800-misogyny.
That's
great.
That's Flintstones.
I think Fred was valuing Wilma for a lot less than she was worth.
So I don't want to like get out of the order of things, but I also jumped into the first movie. So this was the prequel to the actual Flintstones with John Goodman and Rick Moranis. They really took a lot of that misogyny out that was present in the first film, and I'm really grateful for it because it actually makes the film stand out a little. It survives the test of time a little bit.
So you
better.
took this assignment so seriously, you watched both films just to
You're not understanding.
to be able to put this one in context.
I enjoy both of them.
You could say that because the female leads in this film are so much better than the male leads, that this film is a well, I don't know.
Well, you can't say it doesn't pass the Bechdel test at all.
No, I'm sure it doesn't. I'm sure it doesn't.
We've got some ground.
When they first meet.
It did.
Yeah.
Bliss. I mean, that was just genuine, human concern, and they weren't talking about men at all at that point.
But
I guess we got ground to cover. So here, I'll just spout out stuff. We're doing the Flintstones, Viva Las Vegas.
Viva
Rock Vegas,
Viva Rock.
please.
Yes, excuse me. I'm
the Flintstones in Viva Rock Vegas. Let's get it right.
Let's get the prepositions all right.
I think I'm wrong anyway. So
people here. I'm Matt.
I'm Luke.
I'm Mark.
We have guests, multi-guests. There's a lot of voices today coming in from Mission Log, the Orville. We have Jessica Lynn Verdi and Mike Richards.
I'm Jessica.
Hello.
Oh, sorry.
There's Jessica. You're Jessica. Mike,
and I'm Mike.
You did it. Okay, cool. Like, Mark is like, quit talking inside baseball. But when I started the podcast, like everybody requested this film. Mike requested it first, so Mike got it, and then Jessica requested. I'm like, well, she does podcasts with Mike anyway, so let's make this a larger podcast for today. And
round table.
Yeah,
it's made of stone. It's a round stone table.
A bedrock
I'm gonna put
table.
as many damn rock puns in this episode as possible.
Oh no, that's not even a pun. It's just a stone table.
I know. That's the
They
level.
just call
that
it
we
a
deal with
table.
here.
Mark, we should have got stoned before we started.
There
Yeah,
we go.
you're right. Correct.
So, has anybody watched this movie before we did it for this podcast? Because I had not.
I had only seen the first one.
I may have seen the first one.
Wow.
I hadn't seen either. And I
So
usually
wait,
watch
hold on
anything with
then.
John Goodman in it.
Is he in it?
No, but he
Not
was
this
in
one.
the Flintstones. The
He
He
was in
was
1994.
doing what?
He was Fred in the 1994 film.
Oh, I thought you were talking about John Champion because that's our mutual.
Okay, John Champion as Fred Flintstone would pay to watch.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, I think that's right.
John Champion as Gazoo, probably a better casting choice.
Actually, you're correct. But I don't want
However,
Gazoo in anything, please.
No, that's fair also.
Please.
I have a serious, very serious question then, Mike. Why did you want to do this film then if you hadn't even seen it?
Because I'd never seen it. I like to watch things I hadn't seen before, and also thought it would be fun.
It is
And
fun.
how do you feel now? Are you regretful?
No, I had a blast watching this movie. Like as soon as like the opening credits roll and I saw Joan Collins, I was like, holy crap. And then I'm watching it. I'm like, oh my God, that's John Cho. And then I was like, we got to hear Anne Margaret belt out Viva Rock Vegas. When else do you get to hear that? I mean, like it was actually like genuinely fun. And I loved the Flintstones growing up, and more probably off closely related, I would say, is I loved the Honeymooners. I grew up in New York just with Honeymooners reruns on every night, with The Odd Couple, and probably right around the same night that I would watch the evening syndicated showing of Star Trek, the original series. So this show was an animated version of the Honeymooners.
Right.
And
And
it was, I just thought it was a
curious,
blast.
Are kids nowadays getting exposure to these old Hanna-Barbera things? Like I know Scooby-Doo's still sort of in the zeitgeist, but could you say Flintstones to a kid that's under 15 right now that would know what it is?
You could barely stay Flintstones to a kid my age, and I know what it is.
Oh, come on. You didn't watch any Flintstones?
Well,
I was
this
aware
is-
of it because it was mentioned in other things,
I see. Right.
but I don't know if I ever watched But I also, these came out when I was a kid, so I watched these ones. But
And
And
that's
also
fair.
say that if they have Boomerang, which is I think the Hanna-Barbera centric streaming channel, that they would get that. I mean, kids like cartoons, but honestly, this wasn't even a kid's cartoon back. This was a primetime cartoon.
That's it.
Back-
I think
really?
the older
back in its
cartoons
initial run.
do survive, but I don't know if Flintstone specifically does.
Well, the thing about
Because it's
the
more the slapstick
Flintstones,
and everything.
it was the longest running animated sitcom by far until The Simpsons surpassed it in, I think, 1996. Yeah, by far. And then The Simpsons has, I think, tripled, quadrupled its length. I'm not sure if Boomerang still exists. If it does, I'm sure David Zaslav is trying to get rid of it right now.
Sure, I believe that as well. I
I
just don't even know if it would
preferred
hold
the
a kid's
Jetsons.
interest.
Oh, it's
Sure.
it's been gone for 20 years. Sorry.
What has Simpsons?
Boomerang.
Oh, okay.
Boomerang
It's
ended
been
in
gone?
2004. Yeah. I'm sorry.
But
Wow.
Mike
I was
just
a
lost
kid,
20
man.
years of his life.
Something tells me y'all aren't going to edit that part out either.
Well, I had to look it up, and it makes me sad. So, anyway, you know what else makes me sad? The Great Gazoo. He pops up like a pop-up. Every time he popped up, it was like I was trying to push the X. I was trying to find the X to close him.
Yeah, it's
The
like the
film,
I-
the film
you
starts
didn't
with the
like
Great
it?
Gazoo, and I was
I
like,
thought-
wait,
Yeah,
It
I
was
thought it was
great
neat that
casting.
was that was the entry into the film was the Great Gazoo's exile.
Alan Cumming?
This was it's
my
great
first
casting.
thought was,
but-
wait, doesn't everyone hate this guy?
That is the symbol. That's like the Scrappy-Doo of the Flintstones, except the difference is the Flintstones ran for way longer than Scooby-Doo did. So
It's
just
like the
this-
cousin Oliver of the Brady Bunch.
Mm,
I don't know.
yeah.
Isn't Cousin Oliver the Cousin Oliver of the Brady Bunch?
Yes.
Yeah. If you're being literalist.
What side of the Brady Bunch was he a cousin of?
I
That's the
don't know.
question.
Probably
The man side.
Carol's. He had blonde.
Okay.
The man side. So he said.
I just thought he was a boy, so he'd come from because it's like one side of the family
man
all men
side.
and one
No,
family
that's how they
all
flipped it
women.
on
The
its
men's
head.
side.
Instead of jumping the shark, they got a cousin Oliver, and instead of canceling the Flintstones, they got a Gazoo. I'm understanding what you're saying, but I still think they, first of all, they didn't use Gazoo.
That is fair.
Just used him properly, and then it's awesome to have Alan Cumming be back as Mick Jagged too. So like, it's kind of cool to get him do two different things and some of his specialties.
I didn't even realize that was him.
You
Yeah.
didn't?
I take
No,
some
I
issue
didn't.
with that character.
Dude, why is that?
Why? I felt like I can hear the reason. Just
I loved when he said something like, I'm a one woman man, baby. Except on the road. On the road doesn't count.
I'm a one-woman man, baby. This is how British people talk, isn't it?
I realized that, well, that's how Mick Jagger talks. And I realized, so I've seen the movie a couple times. I saw the original Flintstones at a drive-in theater. And when I was watching the Mick Jagger character, I realized I've done vocal, like, you know, like you like have inside jokes with family or friends or whatever, or with yourself from watching something. I do, yeah. And I didn't remember where it was, what it was from until I rewatched it today. Yeah. So
For a second,
it's a big influence on me. So I
when
guess.
you said a drive-in theater, for 1 second, I thought you said Adam Driver's theater. I was like, I want to hear about this. You're getting invited to movie nights with Adam Driver.
I did go to Beau Bridges' movie theater at his house, but that's about as high as it gets for me. So, but not Adam Driver.
Cool.
No, yeah, not too bad.
What did he play for you? The Baker Boy, the Fabulous Baker Boys, or
so
what?
it was. I was friends with his daughter at high school, and we watched Run Lola Run and like Train Spotting. It was like where like the theater kids thought we were cool watching edgy foreign films, and I only say foreign because they called Mick Jagger foreign.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, are we
Take that, foreigner?
Yeah, take that, foreigner. I was like, oh, I think I was offended. So are you saying Stephen Baldwin is not perfectly cast in this role?
He's so not interested in
His hair is not. He won a Razzie for his hair.
I don't understand.
He did. He was at least nominated for one. And I wonder because like when they gave out the little slates, right? When they were to the cops to look for Barney and Fred, it was the cartoon version. Did you guys notice that when they they had his, it looked like Barney. And I was like, does Stephen Baldwin is it in his contract that he just has to have that signature butt cut that he just sort of like had during that period of time? I don't know.
He doesn't get a haircut for you.
He does. He's in Biodome too, right? Which basically same character.
Pauly Shore with him. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Pauly Shore and Stephen Baldwin, right?
Right.
Better
I
on
guess
Pauly
he
Shore
kind of
hair.
was Barney Rubble in that movie. I didn't really think about it while I was watching it.
I'm just realizing it now. I'm learning more about myself. I also loved that movie too. It's terrible, but it's great.
Where does threesome show up on your list?
I've never seen that, but there is the one where Tiffany Amber Thiessen's in, and it's Pauly Shore, and I
daughter-in-law.
Yeah, I do like that one.
Wasn't he in
son-in-law? Excuse me.
No, that was William Baldwin. I'm sorry, retracted.
So many
William
Baldwins.
Baldwin was the sliver guy.
I want to see Alec Baldwin as
Barney
Rubble.
Rubble.
Yeah.
No, you cast him as Fred.
He's Mr. Slate.
And Barney is. Oh, he is Mr. Slate.
Yeah.
So I just remembered this too. I was excited the second I saw this on the list, Viva Rock Vegas. I was like, all right, awesome, I'm in, because Kyle MacLachlan, and he's in the first one.
Yeah. The first one has. I looked back at the cast of the first one. I'm like, I forgot how ridiculous that cast is stacked.
I mean, Elizabeth Taylor alone.
Yeah. Apparently, I read on IMDb she got like 300 bouquets of flowers delivered to her dressing room. It was her last film that she ever did.
Really?
Yeah.
And this was the last one for Harvey Korman. Yeah.
Joan Collins is nothing to sneeze at, but
she's nothing to sneeze at. She did a good job as
she's very good.
Very good. And then when I saw Harvey Korman in the opening credits too, I thought, wow, this is. And then Anne Margaret also that showed up in the opening credits. Also, it said title theme or something like that by Anne Margaret. And I was just like, what Hollywood magic have I stumbled across?
Here's why Harvey I have a problem. Go ahead, please.
Oh, voice of Great Gazoo, but go ahead.
Is he in
in the original series?
that's funny. Well,
Yep.
so here's why I think it's a good film. Ultimately, this is Universal at its best. Practical sets, in jokes, casting from all the whole gamut of basically going deep into their roster of who they can cast, and also the CGI is still not bad, guys. For 2000, it's
Not
okay.
bad. It's okay.
Dino's sort of believable, but anyway, like you go back to the first one with all the McDonald's jokes, and I was just the perfect age for this to land on me and have an impression, I think. Although how old was I? 2000, 13, 14, something like that. Yeah, I was a baby.
Every time there was a montage where there were people running around and dinosaurs doing things, I was completely delighted.
Mm-hmm.
It's delightful. It's delightful for sure.
I would say I really enjoyed the film until it got into the main plot.
45 minutes into the movie when they mention Rock Vegas for the first time.
Yes.
The whole like, oh, I'm gonna try and get her back, and I'm gonna trick Barney into get that stuff was all just so like played out.
It was so Billy Zane, man. It was so.
I was. Just,
you read my mind.
Out. And also, they stopped putting jokes in at that point. Like,
yeah, it got really serious, and it was just about a guy with a gambling problem. Who like
taking advantage
Greg,
of.
Greg from Dharma and Greg was just allowed to run a casino like it's totally legal to run a casino in real life.
All I could think was Criminal Minds. Greg from Dharma and Greg.
I kept putting in my notes, you can't do this, Greg from Dharma and Greg. That's all I could think of. And I looked at him as a Scientologist. He's not a Scientologist.
She is. She
is.
My wife came down and she was like, "What are you watching?" And I go, "The Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas." And she was like, "Why?" And I go, I'm working. And she was like, "Oh, okay." And then she comes down later. She goes, "You're still watching this?" I go, "Yeah." And she goes, "What I like about this movie is that like all of the main cast members were like secondary cast members and like everything else they did." And I'm like, except Joan Collins, but she was like Criminal Minds guy, Third Rock chick, whatever. And I was like, good point. This is probably the highest billing Stephen Baldwin ever got, but he was, like you guys said, he was in Biodome and Threesome. But what I would say also is that I looked at her and go, "You owned this movie, didn't you?" And she goes, my mom did.
Why did her mom own the movie?
Her mom was to her last days was a collector of physical media. Even if it was just a couple of dollar DVD that you could rent for a couple of bucks, she would buy it and then just own it.
I was anticipating like my mother watches.
You'll do that.
But you can't be blamed for that, especially when they're like taking everything off of streaming. Or there's like no sacred.
She must have been a visionary then.
It has been difficult to watch every single one of these films.
So I will
every single one
legally.
Well,
it's very easy to just
put
into Google, watch Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas, and it's the first result.
The movie I have hated the most, Stan Helsing, was just on YouTube, but everything else has been difficult.
So I will entreaty the listener to actually watch this one. It may be on the quote Filth list, but I think everybody here like enjoyed watching it to at least some extent, especially
what about you,
45
Matthew?
minutes. I was having a blast watching it. But anyway, my prelude is I'm going to shoehorn this plot summary in real quick, just in case the listener has not had a review. Maybe you should pause and review. I don't know, but if you didn't, here we go. Bachelor buddies Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble have just qualified as professional dino crane operators, and now they want to dive into the dating scene. Wilma Slag Hoople is a rich girl who simply wants to go bowling in Bedrock and not be betrothed to swarmy casino owner Chip Rockefeller. Wilma escapes into Bedrock and is taken in by Betty O'Shale, a waitress who assumes that Wilma is caveless. The four of these characters meet and go on a double date at a carnival, during which the pairings switch. Wilma reveals her rich girl status, and the couples attend a formal dinner to celebrate Wilma's father's birthday, Colonel Slag Hoople. Despite some fish out of water tomfoolery, Chip is unable to attract Wilma's attention from Fred, and so invites the couples to his casino, where he plans to break them up through shenanigans. Fred gambles a bit too much, and Chip plants Wilma's expensive pearls on him, and calls him out as a thief. Meanwhile, Betty runs to the arms of rock star Mick Jagger after seeing Barney walk off with a casino girl. Both bros end up in jail, though it is fortunately easy to escape a dino's ribcage. Chip makes his move towards Wilma, but true love prevails in a massive musical number. Fred marries Wilma, and Barney and Betty look to be next. Also, the Great Gazoo is in this movie.
Oh
So
my God.
you could cut the Great Gazoo out.
I was like,
Technically-
didn't
Technically, only Fred qualified as a crane operator. Barney was a mechanic.
Thank you.
Okay.
That did
Thank
bother
you.
me.
Yes.
That did bother me.
Okay, that's some
Yeah.
lane blacktop stuff. You got the mechanic and the driver. Yeah. Okay.
so
Great,
was
great film.
So was the Great Gazoo just here to like watch them have sex,
Yes.
Yes.
and then he gets to leave the planet, right?
Well, that was the plot device was in. The real reason he was
Okay.
there was for exposition, I think.
Okay, well then that's fine. He can be in there.
We've already been talking actors, but yeah, the half the leads are the weak. I don't know if the leads are the weak. Mark Addy.
No,
don't
I
know.
actually think he was in the Full Monty, right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
And
He was
Game
great
of
in that.
Thrones, he is good.
I did not like him as Fred like at all, and it wasn't just because John Goodman was incredibly. Maybe he had an insecurity thing about having to follow up John Goodman.
What I
This is
liked about
really-
his portrayal was how he really leaned into the Ralph Cramden, as played by Jackie Gleason, character, which again, that might have been 2 degrees of separation that hurt his recognizability as Fred Flintstone. But if you know that the Flintstones was kind of riffing on the Honeymooners, then to me it made it kind of cool, really.
It made sense. I mean, he
He
wasn't
did commit
messing
to the
about.
voice. I'll give him that.
Yeah. My
It makes
favorite
it
of
work, especially if you're a kid, right? You're just watching
Mhm.
it and enjoying the
Yeah.
colors. I'm sorry, go ahead.
my favorite of the main cast is Jane Krakowski. Is
I was gonna say that,
she's
so I'll
rid-
just double you.
She's
Gee.
so good. Yeah, she's so good. I'm kind of like maybe it should have just been a movie about her.
Yeah, I didn't want to
Me
watch
too.
the old one because I have to switch her out for Rosie O'Donnell, which no,
And I think
no shade
Rosie-
against her, but
Does Rosie O'Donnell do the voice of the
The octopus thing. Yeah.
yes,
right?
yes,
So
she
that's
does.
funny.
Okay.
And the guy
So Rosie O'Donnell probably had a contract for 2 movies, and then they were like,
Oh,
"Fuck
wow.
that, we're getting Jane
You can be this
Krakowski."
octopus.
So you can be the blah,
I
like
doubt, I
like
doubt that's
octopus
true,
monster.
but that's incredible. And also the guy that Wilma dunks by hitting him in the head at the carnival is part of the team of part of Fred's bowling team in the first movies because he's got a real Neanderthal look. So they used him twice as well too. I meant to look up what else he has done because he's one of the more recognizable character actors in bit roles, but I didn't. So here we are.
I sort of felt like Wilma and Betty in this one. Maybe the B-52s were in the first one, right? But I kind of felt like the vibe.
BC-52s.
Yeah, the BC-52s. I didn't watch that movie, dude. But
Okay.
the vibe between them, I kind of felt. I mean, sometimes I get on runs of watching B-52s videos and live stuff, and I kind of felt like they had a similar vibe to is it Kay Pearson and Cindy Wilson, just with Betty being all like kind of bubbly and stuff, and sort of a sterner presence with Wilma / Kate Pearson. Still fun, of course. Just I got
And the and Mick Jagger as what was the male vocalist name in B-52's? Fred.
Schneider. Fred Schneider.
Yeah,
I want to say
I think
Schneider.
that's right.
Fred Schneider. The problem I have, I think Kristen Johnson was amazing in this, but the writing, like her character was written to be this like weird, insecure, I just want to get married and get knocked up real quick. Or maybe Fred wanted to knock someone up real quick. I can't remember exactly. There was a lot of daydreaming about what their life would be like, which we all knew what it would be like, which Mark hates prequels. Anyway. But I felt like this did not feel like the Wilma I knew from the cartoon at all.
She filled out that little toga a lot nicer than the Wilma in the cartoon did. I'll say that.
Fair.
I got some fan art that would disagree with you.
Yeah, I feel like she starved herself for that role. It was, I mean, I love that they didn't shy away from her being a taller woman, taller than the lead, like because that can also be like a thing where they accommodate for that. So it was nice that they just let her be that. I feel like everyone else besides her, think about the difficulty of doing a show that's a throwback about a specific time that we, and then it's set in the 50s also. Like it's 1950s protozoic era, and she was the only one that didn't traverse back to that 1950s era with them. Well,
and I do like that, when they were convincing her to wear her hair up, that she was like, but I'm so tall already, it was like kind of leaning into it. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, they just let her be tall, which if you have a couple of my friends are tall and in the business, and that is an issue, just being tall. So it was cool that she just got to do that. And she's a hottie with a body. So even if she wasn't that great in the role as Wilma that we know and love, the first woman who plays her in the first movie is pitch perfect, but she's hot at least.
I'm just, maybe she had like too much plot in this movie. I'm not saying, I'm just saying like they overplotted her so she couldn't have fun.
Yeah, too much of the plot was taken up with women,
No.
Too much of her personality was like, I hate my mom and I hate being rich, which is not, I don't know. Sure, that can be a source of conflict, but it doesn't relate to the Wilma that I know from the cartoons.
If it had been, I want to be like, it wasn't like she had some moral implication that their wealth was bad. It was just she's bored.
Yeah, she just hates all these jerks who are boring, which is
I mean,
that's understandable, but that's not generally, you're not gonna super be bummed about it and make it, you're probably used to them being terrible by now because you're 18 or 20 or however old she's supposed to be in this. And anyway.
But I do like that she wasn't willing to or tied to that, because I think we've all known people. Sadly, I was not raised in the same circumstances, but I was raised around people that just have to do things a certain way. They have to marry a certain family type, a certain sort of caste level, and they're very happy to do that. They're very willing, at least anyway, to accept their fate. And I like the fact that Wilma was not, that she didn't want to just marry into the Rockefeller family, because that she was expected to. And I loved that her dad was okay with that. Like when her mom was like, I married for money and we're very happy. And her dad was like, and then at the end, he was like, say it. It's good enough. It's good enough. Just do it. I dug that about him.
He's Harvey Korman. He can say whatever he wants to me.
Yeah.
He could call me a piece of shit and put a cigarette out my eye and I'd be fine with it.
And it was he canonically Colonel Slag? What was it? Slag?
I don't
Slag
know that
Hoople?
Yeah, Hoople. Yeah.
Probably.
Is Slag Hoople even canonically her past as well too?
Yes.
Or... Oh, wow.
I remember that.
Yeah, and the mother-in-law was in there and very problematically looked just like Wilma, except she got fat.
I'm looking at the rendition of Wilma's mother and the Flintstones, and she looks angry.
She looks angry here too, just more like Joan Collins angry.
He was a colonel. What war did he fight in?
That's
the
a great
prehistoric
question.
war.
Also,
World War -5.
Yeah,
one
they
in Lord of
called
the
Mick
Rings.
Jagger foreign, but the film clearly took place on Pangea.
Clearly.
Okay,
Clearly,
they
they zoomed in.
Yeah.
There was a line where she says that your grandfather got these pearls and they came right out of his shell. And I was like, is this an evolution joke?
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
That was great. I was totally blindsided by
Okay,
that.
good. I'm glad you like it's a clever, there's some certain things that like the writers just got to have some fun doing.
I loved when when Chip Rockefeller was like, there's been a crime committed and I need somebody to confess. And then the guy's like, I'm wearing somebody else's underwear. And somebody's like, I stole these towels. And the guy's like, I'm poisoning the dinosaurs. And people are like, shut up. And he's like, no, seriously, I'm poisoning the dinosaurs.
They
Does anybody care? And they're like,
two or
no.
three times as well. It was great.
That was the best. That was the best part of that half of the movie for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the best
Rock
part
Vegas
wasn't
half.
the best part wasn't when the guy told his wife that her sister could be a showgirl because one of them looks like a man.
Oh,
Well, my
Casually
question
threw that
question
away.
for all of you is, and maybe more to Matthew, since she used to live in Georgia.
So
Do you think this movie is banned
I
in the
still
South now?
live there.
Okay, is this movie banned in the South? Were they considered? Was that considered
Yeah.
drag?
Yeah,
Was
I
that
saw
considered,
DeSantis. I saw DeSantis personally going to libraries and tearing up copies of this. I don't know. They're busy trying to ban things like, or the dictionary probably right now.
Yes.
They're probably trying to ban the encyclopedia.
I think we found the
things with
Stone
words.
Mountain solution. We replaced the Confederate generals on Stone Mountain with the Flintstones. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, why
That'll
not?
do it.
It's a rock. The rock, it writes itself.
Yes.
It's a big rock.
Do they
Why
have
don't you
granite and
replace
bedrock?
it with something that the natives approve of?
That would be great, but we are used to taking
Also,
them for
I don't
granted.
think they approve of us carving big pictures in their rocks. So
Yeah, as well as say, I think
kind
it's
of
like a
got us
mountain.
stuck there.
They can honestly just live there for all I care. They could have the whole damn thing if they want
Yeah.
it.
Sure. What about the bleh. What was your favorite bit of production goofiness in this? This was a big budget movie that lost a whole lot of money in release.
Yep.
It did.
I
I
love the
love-
dinosaur roller coaster.
Yes.
Just
I
the
love the
whole-
practical switch that Chip goes from win to lose. That's only used for one shot,
Yeah.
but clearly
Yes.
costs $10,000.
Yes.
And you
It's like
know that while
backlit.
they're filming it, yeah, it's amazing. And while they're filming it, they're going, "All right, this is your money shot, dude." He's like, "I know." It's very good.
I liked everything Dino. I liked that I liked the look, I liked the colorful the color palette that was used. And I think, if I understand this correctly, they used the original Mel Blanc voice audio recordings
That's
source
correct.
material
Indeed.
for that.
Mel Blanc was in this and the previous Flintstone movie.
Despite being dead.
I don't even think that's his last credit.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
might never be.
Hopefully not.
In 2019.
Wow.
What was that?
Oh no, that's Cartoon Classics 25 favorite cartoons. Never mind.
Okay, that
Does
doesn't
not count.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
I'm sure he'd be cool with that happening, with his voice being used here. So yeah, I should hope so. I don't know. He could have been a curmudgeon who would have hated it, but I'd like
They
to
better
think
get AI working on his voice right now.
They probably
We're
do
not.
have enough input ultimately.
Or they could just not do that because that sucks.
there are strikes about that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but Mel Blanc's not on strike.
True. Well, he's
I mean,
on
in a
permanent
way,
strike.
he's on the ultimate strike.
You're right. He's never going to cross that picket line.
In Japan, they don't strike; they just commit seppuku. So
Oh my god.
me and Matt know about that kind of strike.
Oh my
Oh
god.
boy.
I love it. I mean, I don't love it. It's very
No.
funny though.
Did anybody
One-
think that Gazoo sounded like Stewie? Like, and I know this came out
Yep.
Oh, he had
around
some
the same
Stewie
time.
vibes.
Around the same time Family Guy did. So yeah, I was picking up on that right away. Jess, I wonder if
the
you were thinking that too.
pretension, the pretension of it all. I didn't think of it because I watched this before I watched Family Guy, so I have them two distinctly in my head. Especially Alan Cumming is an English actor, so I didn't think of it as a far stretch from his capabilities. Have any of you seen, though, as a total tangent, the episode with Ian McKellen and Stewie where basically Stewie reveals that he isn't English and like lets
No.
Ian McKellen die? It's only them for an entire episode, and it's fantastic. It's ridiculous, but so good. Moving right along.
I've not. There's no Family Guy started airing like a year before this came out, so it probably didn't steal from it. But
Yeah, it was probably just
Maybe.
coincidence.
It's
What
a
if it's like,
zeitgeist.
I think that pretentious British accent, no offense, Luke, is sort of like the same thing as that when you get the lockjaw New England accent, from the United States. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? It's just sort of a trope that has been used time and time again.
We heard Luke go full pretentious last week when he did the plot summary for Lawrence of Arabia. So
How long was your plot summary?
Not less than Matt's one for this film.
Oh, yeah, I bet it was.
True.
Oh, so you can commit more to that then.
Yeah,
No,
that's where
Matt
the
just
camels
makes
came from.
long ass.
Yeah, Luke's plot summary is probably like Lawrence was an English guy, came to free the came to free the people, and the end.
And Mike was here for the really long one I did, and I've just been shortening it since then, and they've just been getting shorter. So
my last recap of a Dark Horse comic of the Orville was over 1,000 words. So.
Jesus.
I'm always very grateful for how much work Mike does, and he really puts a lot of thought and effort and time. And then I was scrolling through it, and I'm like, oh Jesus! I was for once I was like, this wasn't that long of a book or a comic book.
Yeah, usually I try to get them down to like between around 5 minutes, so about 700 words or so. And this one, I don't. It's more time consuming to get it shorter. You're right. That first draft is pretty long.
I don't blame.
No,
you.
I blame myself.
Okay.
I blame you.
Fair.
Okay,
I blame
where
Matt.
the blame goes. Thank you. Sorry, I forgot what we were talking about.
With the visuals in this film, I liked how it looked, but part of me was thinking, if you're making a live action Flintstones, could it have been funnier to have the dinosaurs doing the exact same stuff, but they were like photoreal Jurassic Park ones?
I mean,
this movie only made $58 million domestically and like 24 internationally. I think they probably already put too much effort into it.
I am not kidding when I say this. This is what I want. A movie of the Jim Henson dinosaurs, but they use humans as their appliances.
Yeah,
that's what I want. Yes, I want like human wheelbarrows and humans just
know
like
about your fetish.
This has been a very fetish-filled episode, to be honest.
Yes, everyone's like dancing around it, like Twinkle Toes. Like, I just don't want to say it, but I'm implying it.
And you're talking about the budget on this thing. How much do you think they had to pay to use the new radicals in this thing, man? Because I'm telling you what, Maybe You've Been Brainwashed 2 is one of my favorite records from the 90s. I can listen to that thing from top to bottom to this day. But I still think they probably didn't have to spend a lot of money on that track.
That was very
$80 million budget. $83 million budget. So
whoa, that's a big one.
Yeah,
59,
that might edge out Ballistic X versus Sever.
I think it might. Yeah.
Wild.
So yeah,
I love that's your guys' go-to movie for like baseline.
It made a huge impression on all of us, except Luke, who'd already seen it like 5 times.
I think
I'd only seen it once before. I played the Game Boy games a bunch of times.
I think Speed 2 made more of an impression on me because I really liked watching the boat go into the oil tank. The village.
That's the one where I'm like, that was a great movie and it should have been on the good list.
Speed 2, you know the silence from Doctor Who, or if you're not looking at them, you can't remember them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main actor from Speed 2 for me.
That's
not Keanu Reeves, you mean?
Yeah,
exactly.
Non-Keanu Reeves. They say that might oversell how interesting he is.
Yeah. That's true. Even when I'm looking at him,
even
I
when
can't
you're looking
remember
at
him.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
But it
did it bother anybody that? Oh, go ahead, Matt.
I was just saying, yeah, the budget on this does blow my mind. Do you think we see all of that 83 million on screen? We do see a lot of production, but do we
Who's
see
getting
that much?
paid like that? Who's getting paid millions of dollars in this cast aside from Joan Collins?
John Collins.
John Collins.
They built a full house. They're practical cars, which still are on the Universal lot when you do the tour. So you can see at least one of, maybe it's from the original one, but it's definitely, their cars are operatable. They built like the little towns. They built work. The set alone for where they're doing the dance to Viva Rock Vegas and at the hotel itself, like that's why I like it and it has charm still, is because how practical everything is.
They had an entire set just for the upper crust mobile trailer park, like that. I don't think we saw that much. So there was sets all over the place.
Yeah,
that got used. They had, what was it, Slag Hoople Manor.
That on the front and back.
That was a lit set, and it was, not a single, not used for more than 10 minutes, 12 maybe.
I think that's what I mean. I think it's still like 2000. Universal's raking in dough, and they're like, we'll spend it on this stuff and just have a great
and plus
time.
the first one grossed like almost $360 million. So they now I don't know why it was 6 years
Wow.
between movies, which
Well,
is
this
fucking
is the
crazy
thing.
because
Actors.
you want to
The
strike
thing
while the
is-
iron's hot.
Yeah, John Goodman declined and Rick Moranis retired. So this just torpedoed everything apparently, and then they sort of pushed it back and then decided, well, we'll just do a prequel, which is a terrible idea. I mean, despite how good it is, I just think that watching characters dream about the life that we know that they'll eventually have is not like enough to, or they could have just made it a prequel where people are just doing their thing.
The stakes,
that's the issue I have
like-
with it.
I like
the stakes
idea
aren't very
of-
high. You know how it's going to end.
I do kind of like the idea of doing a film about them meeting, though. Like, that's a cute.
Yeah, they could have actually been on the, you know how they were dating the wrong person and that lasted like 3 minutes? Like
If
that could have been
the
half
main
the
plot of
movie.
the film, that could have been funnier than
That
the
could have been
weird
the
gambling
whole-
casino thing.
Yeah.
What do you think Betty
fair.
and Barney were going to go do until the next morning? They didn't really explain that to me. I was a little.
Mike
I was-
still doesn't know about
Something
sex.
They were
with
you
gonna
That's where the
guys.
fetishes come in.
Fuck.
They were going to show the Great Gazoo how sex works.
He was gonna get
You
his
think that's-
penis erect and turn it, and he was gonna insert it repeatedly into
I
her
think
vagina.
Yeah,
we're done
they were
now,
going to
guys,
come
right?
across the genus Homo erectus.
Like Gazoo, I think I've seen all I need to see. I think it's time for me to go.
I do wonder if there's a spot for like kind of right around the year 2000, somewhat fantastical movies that we need to reassess.
Matt, I got to stop you right there. There is a spot, and your wife has told me you don't know where it is.
Are you talking about Wild Wild West, Matt?
No, I was talking about the
Is
Country
that what you
Bears.
call it? Where you come from?
Yeah, that's the spot. You just hit it and it's like, yeah.
Wiki wiki wild wild west.
Wiki wiki wiki
Wiki scratch.
Anyway, your jokes are keeping me from singing the praises of the Country Bears movie. So that's another one I recently saw that, you're just like, God, I'd never watch that. I think it's 2002. I'm like, I was like, wow, I like that movie. I mean, so kind of with this one too, like it's supposed to be a train wreck. You watch it and then you're kind of like, hey, I like this movie.
But it was a roller coaster, right? Because Gazoo said, the great Gazoo said something like, animal prints are so passe, and I was like, it's a good message, right? Because animal prints or animal skins are passe, and I like that. But then Barney chains Dino to a tree and leaves, and I'm like, you can't do that to your pet. So I was glad Dino showed up with the tree chained to him at Slag Hoople Manor, because that's what happens when you chain your pet to a tree. It doesn't end well.
It was well deserved, but it was also kind of insane.
That needs a John Goodman delivery. This is what happens when you chain your dinosaur to a tree.
Also,
yeah,
she
John
was like,
Goodman.
Wilma was upset that her mum got so angry at Fred. Fred did ruin that party.
Yes.
He
Yes,
did
he
gamble
did.
all that
million. He lost $1 million rocks, and the
So-
guy.
Clams.
Sorry, Greg from Dharma and Greg said, I will forgive your gambling debt that you definitely incurred yourself if you just leave town and never talk to Wilma again. And you just do that and then tell Wilma, hey, meet me in St. Roxford or something. And what is he going to do? Surveil you with pterodactyls? Just take the deal.
Just take the deal, man. Just take the deal. You could have just said Rockford. It didn't have to be St. Rockford.
I will say this. I actually think that they forgave Wilma way too quickly. She's the real villain. She doesn't tell them that she's rich. She's the liar. Everyone's like, that's okay. I'm just going to go get her a huge ring, or it's fine. I let you live in my apartment. And so, yes, maybe Flintstone had Fred had some ulterior motives and lost a lot of money, but the real true bad person in this film is Wilma, honestly. So.
Also, he got a loan to open a casino, which, that's how it works.
Right.
But not on the understanding that he would pay it back with the casino's profits. He had to pay it back before it opened with money from a criminal scheme.
There was that. And do you think all mobsters in the Flintstone age are named Rocco? Because it seemed like they're all named Rocco.
But you know what was interesting? The guy who opened a casino, his name was Chip. Think about that.
Oh, think about
Two
that.
puns.
I mean, does that count as your pun, or is that just the filmmaker's pun and it took you a long time to notice?
I'll give him credit. I'm
I'll
a
give the-
big enough
yeah.
person.
I didn't
I'll give
notice
him
either.
credit.
Like,
I did notice. I put it in my notes. But anyway,
Do you think Chip gets Joe Pesci off screen at the end of this movie?
yes.
I
Yeah,
hope
yeah.
so.
Just making sure.
Dharma comes in and just like puts him in a hole with no food.
Also,
Yeah,
as
it
a
took her, like-
dinosaur nerd, I was annoyed that the joke was you'll be sleeping with the tunosauruses instead of just actually naming an aquatic, like, marine reptile. Like, what, you think the audience is too dumb to know what a plesiosaur is or something?
Well, they are too dumb to know the name of it.
I don't know. Do you think Betty's too dumb?
They know the
Do you
name of
think-
the tuna that doesn't exist yet. So they're like clairvoyant.
Do you think Betty was too dumb to know what "meet my bandmates" means when a rock star says that to you?
Oh no, Betty
This is-
fucks. Betty knows. Betty did fuck Mick Jagger 100%.
She fucked all of the Rolling Stones. She took,
Like
one
"meet
in
my
each song.
bandmates" is not, it's
No, she
that's a
knew.
gangbang.
She
So
knew.
Mick Jagger and the other Rolling Stones, they got their
And-
penis.
She is still the best thing about this movie, even after fucking all of the Rolling Stones.
I
Are you
mean,
saying that would like
actually,
ruin
there's
her?
nothing
Would
wrong with that.
devalue her, Mark?
No, I was not. Well, she
Wow.
was sort of in a relationship, but I don't know. Maybe she wasn't.
no,
Yeah, but
she's
halfway.
she saw him touching titties, so
yeah, she's dumb
yeah.
though. She's a
That's
little
fair.
dumb. She also, first of all, we like her, but her taste is Barney Rubble. That's
With that
really
haircut.
not speaking.
Stephen
Well,
Baldwin.
even worse. Her taste is
Stephen
Stephen Baldwin.
Yeah. Rick Moranis, that would be, well, he belongs to another.
He's another
sure.
echelon of human for sure. A good
I thought you were
echelon
going to
of
say
human.
Rick Moranis belongs to the streets for a second.
He belongs to Rocky
He belongs
Street.
right here, bro.
So maybe Matt can answer this for me, or maybe someone else can. Was the song that they did, but that Fred sang with the band, was that a real song, or was that just made up for this film?
It was for this film, had to be.
I didn't recognize it.
Okay,
And
you mean
also-
at the
I
end,
thought maybe it was a Rolling Stones song because I just don't know that much about Rolling Stones.
they had like kind of an acoustic guitar stony thing going on, but they were. I don't think
Stony?
they were like stony. Yeah, I don't think they were like doing anything in particular. No.
I went to a Rolling Stones concert before I was born.
Nice.
How was it?
I don't know. I was in
Muffled.
the womb.
It was muffled.
Did Mick Jagger hit
Probably
on your
gave me
mom?
developmental problems. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm so short, because I got shaken around at a Rolling Stones concert while my mum was pregnant.
Oh my
So,
god.
Me up.
Kind of
a
Like a persistent theme through the movie was the Twinkle Toes things. Do you guys remember
Yep.
Twinkle Toes Flintstones from I'll just say the original series?
very Flintstonesy.
Very Flintstonesy.
I assumed they
Fred
were on
Twinkle
strings to
Toes
do that.
Flintstone.
Even though I don't think Wilma liked bowling. Did she bowl? Am I crazy?
Maybe she
I
got
don't
over it.
Remember?
I want to say I've seen her in a bowling shirt.
In
That
the
could be
show?
I
totally
want her
made
to
up.
bowl.
Again,
I
I can
want her
send
to
you
bowl.
links to her in a bowling shirt.
Just links to her in a bowling ball and like an octopus and a few
An
dinosaurs.
octopus.
Yeah. Well, a bowling ball has 3 holes.
Yes. And
Got 5 left.
all like
As we
all
know,
like-
so does Betty.
amazing. That's also a joke that's in Kingpin, which I hope is not on the Filth list because that's a great film.
Oh,
I
love
think
that
it
movie.
is it's in the nether region between film and filth.
That's too
We
bad.
need a name. We need a name for that region.
Where most
The
films would
region with
probably
most
live.
films-
Yeah.
With most films, yes.
The filthy zone. Yeah.
6.9.
Wow.
That's not bad at all. That's pretty good.
That's
for a
actually pretty
90s
nice.
comedy.
So let's get that 10-star review. I'd like to hear it now.
Oh yeah, I
Someone
guess
pull up.
I've got a 1 or 2 up. I guess nobody is like going to call this movie filthy, except for maybe a bit of the filthy fetish stuff and Betty's night out with the Stones.
I can't. Much like Jingle All the Way, which we covered in the previous version of this podcast, same director, and the other Flintstones movie. Can't really hate them. They're not great.
I love
but
Jingle
can't
All the
hate
Way.
'em. There you go,
Okay.
same director.
Well, I have a 10-star here, which I'm basically just going because the title is Another Yabba-Dabba Delight, Yabba-Do 22. This is one brilliant and enjoyable film, despite what a lot of narrow-minded critics say. Mark Addy is magnificent. He is as close as you're going to get to the cartoon. Excuse me. And Jane Krakowski is Betty Rubble. Stephen Baldwin is good as Barney Rubble. He plays him as a bumbling idiot, which for Stephen Baldwin comes naturally. Who is Kristen Johnson trying to be herself? Excuse me. Was Kristen Johnson trying to be? Herself? If that is true, she did a fine job. If she was trying to play Wilma Flintstone, she has a long, long, long way to go. The script is brilliantly.
Yeah, I don't know how you give 10 stars with these kind of critiques.
It's a very funny and touching story. The special effects and production design are amazing. Brian Levant, the director, should be very proud. This is quite an accomplishment. I can watch it and have a yabba-dabba do time. Well, they just didn't like Kristen Johnson's thing, but it seems they like the rest of it.
They had legitimate critiques that would then, like, each criticism, everyone's like, this, like, that's 0.5 off of the star.
Yeah. So, I mean, would you think a 10 is a perfect film? I mean, I guess 10 out of 10 would be right.
I've said
those
this
kind
before.
of critiques.
I've said this before. I refuse to rate anything a 10. I don't believe that a 10 film exists yet.
I think you can rate a 10. I think you can rate a 10.
My heart is empty.
100.
And it's waiting for that 10-star film to finally exist.
Well, I feel very sad for you then.
Well, here is this.
You should. I feel terrible all the time.
Is this one more your speed? Is this one more your speed? 10 out of 10. Nice, pretty decent movie. I especially love the script and the stellar cast. Finished.
That's a 10.
That's a 10.
Nice. Yeah.
Pretty decent movie. Nice. Pretty decent movie. 10.
They clearly didn't take long writing it. They clearly did not take long writing that.
No, it's, you know why? It's because it's the son of the director who's just like, come on, I need a higher rating, please.
There were only like 6-10 reviews on IMDb, which honestly, I mean, the Human Centipede 2 full sequence had like 20 10-star reviews.
That's because that only has 10-star and 0-star. Like, no one is in the middle on that one.
This thing has a pretty bathtub
shaved.
This one has a pretty bathtub shaped curve, also. I think a lot of haters and some lovers.
Oh, there's a bathtub in Human Centipede too. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can find one that's This is some of these just don't. This is the thing. This is rated poorly because it is a movie based on a known quantity that people are dissatisfied on how the quantity is handled.
Yes, that's why this is why you can't trust this stuff.
Exactly, and that's what Luke always says, and he's right. You can't trust IMDb at all.
Yeah, I don't like any aggregation of scores. I think it's meaningless.
I like that. But here we are, though, assigning meaning and doing a show based off of that meaning.
That's
Matt
right.
tells me to watch a film and I come and I crack jokes, like, whatever.
There we go. But you're here because of that meaning.
I mean, I just like the idea of having like this weird arbitrary list that sends us in directions that we wouldn't.
I get that.
It's like doing I Ching and throwing tetragrams. That's kind of
which is very fun.
Yeah.
I'm losing my ability to sit in front of a computer thanks to my illness at the moment. So
okay, I think we're wrapping up.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, we can wrap. I think we've said everything we want to say about the Flintstones. Viva Rock Vegas.
I just am hitting a wall. So
yeah, no problem.
The only thing I have to say is that I looked up what the plot of Viva Las Vegas is, and it has nothing to do with this.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Well, that's good. That means this one's original.
Well, also
Untread
it's
rocks.
Also, Rock Vegas is terrible, and this should be called Beware Rock Vegas.
Yabba-dabba, don't gamble, kids.
Exactly.
Yabba-dabba, don't gamble. I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, you got any of that fan art where Fred gave Wilma the pearl necklace back?
I mean, I just closed it, but yeah.
I gotta go. Okay, bye guys. Thank you so much. I really actually am leaving. Bye.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Hey,
All right, right. Before we wrap up, everyone take your guess. How many results for Wilma on rule34.xxx?
947.
2,500.
947,000.
Matt's actually closest. Only 450.
Huh.
No.
I guess that. The teens these days are not jacking off to Wilma from the Flintstones.
the teens since 2006 or so.
Wow. I guess we'll close up the shop and Mike, you want to talk a bit about the Orville? You have me reading comic books now. I'm two in of the comics.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So David Goodman, who executive producer of the Orville, prolific writer for TV, Family Guy, The Golden Girls, Team Knight Rider, that short-lived season, and friend of the show, had never written a comic book before, so he wanted to take on that challenge, and he wrote 2 stories in 4 issues called Season 1.5 that were placed in between seasons 1 and 2, as you may have guessed, and 4 more issues telling 2 stories placed between seasons 2 and 3, and then they added 2 more stories onto that. So there's a total of 4 stories, 8 issues in season 2.5, all available on a library edition, hardcover book, or I use the Kindle edition. And Jessica and I have been doing a deep dive into them, but the artwork is beautiful. It's by an artist named David Cabeza. Matthew Atea does the coloring. David Goodman does the writing, and they are really, really very well written, very fleshed out Orville stories. Some of them were stories that he pitched for the shows that they just didn't have time in the production schedule to do. And Jessica and I are digging into those right now. As soon as we get through all 6 of those, which we just recorded number 5 and dropped. Number 6 will be dropped by the time this episode is released. We'll have David Goodman on there for a supplemental, as well as David Cabeza to chat about those. That's what's going on there. And then we're planning on a crossover with Jeffrey T. Aiken from the Starfleet Leadership Academy to talk about leadership issues and decision making and things like that on the Orville, specifically like Ed Mercer's leadership journey. So that's what's going on there. I can't say season 4 is going to happen, but I can say I'm very optimistic that it's going to happen. There's been a lot of interest. There's been a lot of cancellations of other shows, and right now we're in a position with the writers' strike that nothing kind of new can get announced other than cancellations. So that definitely gives me more optimism than I've had, say over the course of the last year, that we're going to see a season 4 of the Orville. And you can catch us at ML_the Orville on Twitter, mission log -the Orville at roddenberry.com, or mission log pod on Facebook. And you can catch us on all the podcatchers, as well as on the Roddenberry YouTube channel if you like to watch your podcasts. And Jessica is very entertaining, and she is I think if you're not watching the YouTube version, you're missing out, because there's a lot of reactions and things that she brings to these episodes that you can catch on the YouTube channel.
All right,
thank you both for coming on. That was awesome. And just the right number of sex jokes for this.
Well, she sent me an LOL after she left, so I thought for a second maybe I offended her into leaving, but it doesn't seem like it.
No, but she timed it perfectly, so she left just as we started talking about it.
All right.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, we're on Twitter and Facebook at Films and Filth. You can find us online. Just search Films and Filth in your podcasting app of choice. Make sure you rate and review, like and subscribe. Please tell your friends about it. We're still kind of new, still haven't found our audience. Matt should maybe post the full list of 200 films online. I think that would help people watch along and get into it. Sure. And if you want to help support the podcast, keep it online. You can find us at patreon.com/podcastio. There you'll find links to all the other shows we make. None of them, for the most part, are hidden behind a paywall, but that's just where you can find them all. Patreon.com/podcastio.
All right.
Kick rocks, listeners.
Peace.
Cut spot there. Okay, that works.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks for having me on again.
Dude, thanks for coming on. That was great.
Always a blast.
Yeah.
No, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think we mostly rode the wave well, because I was a little worried about 5 voices, but
there were a few times we all talked over each other, but we've all podcasted enough to know, okay, let's
sorry about that.
Oh, I knew that was going to happen with 5 people. I mean,
I'm the main offender with that, and I'm trying to stop. So I apologize first, and nobody else has to apologize.
Matt, I'll send you my local as a link for my Google Drive. Does that work for you?
That works fine. Sure.
Okay. And normally you don't even need it, right? That would just be like a backup, or
That's correct.
Do you use the audio? Okay.
I've been having the other guys sometimes. I didn't today, but have them recording backup sometimes. But my internet, I had a few weeks where my internet was like becoming a nightmare, but it seems to have fixed it'd be okay. I haven't had a problem recently. Let's put it that way.
Seems to have fixed it. Be okay.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't want to jinx himself. I can tell that. I don't want to jinx myself.
Exactly.
Yeah, language change right there. Yeah.
Oh, before we leave, Luke, thank you for recommending me Bayonetta. It fucking rules.
Yeah, right.
Hell yeah. It was undersold to me how crazy it is. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's the bomb. The sequels are good, but none of them are as good as the first one.
Well, that's good because the sequels are way more expensive because there's no sale on Nintendo shit. But yeah. I don't know, having a blast with that right now.
Oh, nice. and Matthew, I was flying Sunday night, so I was not able to pop into the Twilight Zone cast on the Discord, but I was sorry that I couldn't.
Oh, no problem.
If that means anything.
We've got a few regular chit chatters, so something usually happens there. Mark occasionally in there. So
I had a wrestling pay-per-view that a friend invited me to, so I was at that. Sorry. It was really cool.
I am gonna hit the stop